Hello and welcome. On behalf of Power Street Theater, my name is Alyson Cadena and this is Power Talks. I will be your host this month as we celebrate Women's History Month by spotlighting some incredible female identifying artists. And I'm super excited for today's guest. We'll learn more about all the amazing things that she's doing for the community, but she is a Philly native, so going to be great to hear that. Welcome to Nikki Powerhouse.
Hey, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm excited on this talk that we're about to it be up all up in it. So thank you.
Yes, I'm excited as well.
Mhm.
Obviously Power Street is Philly based, so we love highlighting the Philly artists, but you in particular have just done so much for the community and like you just your the work you do crosses so many different mediums, and so we're going to get into all of that in more detail. But for the people who aren't familiar with you, I just want to give a little bit of a bio, a little bit of background of what you do and why we're here to give you your flowers.
Awesome.
So Nikki Powerhouse is a Philly-based trauma-informed teaching artist. She is a published author of 2 poetry books and a personal journal. She does art-based performances and workshops and is a motivational speaker. Just last month, she won a transformation award from the Leeway Foundation,
Hey,
which funds women, trans, and/or gender nonconforming artists creating art for social change.
excellent.
So
Excellent.
congratulations on
Thank you.
that.
Thank you so much.
I do want to talk about like the work you do specifically. The first thing that struck me was one of your past works. It was a one-woman show called The Art of I Am. And this show was followed by an 8-week workshop for women in recovery through a partnership with Resources for Human Development. So I thought that was super interesting. I love to hear how art kind of contributes to healing, and you are trauma informed teaching artist. What was that experience like? How did you start working with that community in specific? Just
Mhm.
trying to understand kind of like where do these projects even like come from?
Thank you. Let me say this first. There's no art that one can share without sharing a bit of themselves. And with that being said, the art of I am was a personal journey and a personal narrative of my own personal story. And I wrote it during after my mother made her transition and became my ancestor. And the 6 months after she transitioned, I just went into the writing, and I found so much power and so much release in telling not only my journey, but how all of the experiences that I that I've been through and how it have impacted my work as an artist. The art of I am, the premise of it is that everybody gets the journey to I am. Everybody gets to um, find and discover their power and heal. And everybody gets to is worthy of healing and celebrating and feeling an experience of self worth, if you will. Um, the the part of why I decided that first community women that was in recovery because before my mother made her transition, she had 10 years clean in recovery. And I watched my mother rebuild her soul before she left this planet. So, with that being, and I'm one thing, my mother was like my biggest supporter. Like, she was, and I feel like in some way, my mother left me the blueprint. All the things and experiences that I went through is like knowing that you can go through something and you can get to the other side. And getting to the other side, though challenging, though all the things that come with it, most importantly, just knowing that there is a resilience and there's a resistance that's inherited in my bloodline that I get to keep going. And even if I don't have a full understanding of it, I know that one step after another step after another step will get me to where exactly that I want because I'm not just here to dream it, but I'm actually to live this experience fully. Um, and the experience with those women really was about seeing my mother and seeing my mother and knowing that her writing her story and healing and being celebrated, it was a matter of that would be something that she would be empowered and uplifted by just because of the fact that it was personal. And though that I didn't have the addiction myself as a child watching, I was getting I was getting information and getting ideas and beliefs that I knew that wasn't true. And and I wanted to start with that community because I wanted them to understand that the art of I am was not just an idea for just me, but it was awakening for them as well. And the 6 week workshop was a component where I took they saw the show, and then we did the 6 week workshop, and then we came back and did Sisters in Sobriety, from story to stage, and they were doing a rendition of the art of I am, but based on their own personal journey.
That's so interesting because,
Yeah.
I think sometimes as artists, we have that outlet to, tell our stories and it's a little more comfortable for us. Is it ever hard working with these communities where, people maybe have no exposure to, this kind of creative expression before? Maybe it's their first time writing their story down or like performing. Is there ever any kind of like struggle to get them to participate or like, yeah, is there any learnings to like help them tell that story?
The challenge that I found is letting people finding that seed in them that your story is worth telling. How you tell it is up to you. It's your narrative, it's your experience. And and it also was a combination of having them believe that they had something to give. So that was the challenge. And I broke that, once that once that well opened up, it was like, oh, we in here. Because now it's like, not only not only that do I get to tell my story, but I have something to say. And the same place that I was inspired by, I can come back to that place. So the stage become a platform of more of a self-worth. It's an embodiment of like, I have something to say, and you can say it so loud that you can be on stage and have people watch you. And I think that's the cathartic healing component to it, is that they're reminded that you always have something to give at any point of the journey. Healing is so intimate, and you get to be vulnerable, you get to be confident, you get to be scared. Like, just because you're in front of people doesn't mean that you're not going to be scared. You channel that fear. You bring that into, because what you feel, there's somebody else in the room that feels the same way. And the fact that you're up there is their inspiration to open and find their own personal voice. So yeah, that's
You're
yeah.
I can see why you're a motivational speaker because
Thank
I'm
you.
like, I'm not a person in recovery, and yet you're speaking to my soul right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I never thought of it that way. That sometimes so much of that healing is just like validating your story and
Yeah.
like your existence, like that, kind of like you matter and your experience matters.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, ooh,
And I think that that's the point where I'm like, the seeds that we have to plant in ourselves, and we got to replant it. And there are experiences, whether the trauma or oppressive systems that was set out to intend to break you, but just because you were planted in rough places doesn't mean that you still don't get to be a flower, that you don't get to be exactly what the creator that created you to be. So like, we all got creative bloodline in us because we were made out of creation.
ooh,
I see.
uh, I need a moment on that one. It's like, I need a moment on that one. Oh, I love it. This is If you're not inspired in this Women's History Month by this talk right now, ooh,
Okay.
okay, and we're not even halfway done.
Okay.
I do want to talk about, you said it, how you share your story is up to you, right?
Mhm.
So your latest one woman show, the art of excuse me, the softest part of her is everything.
Mhm.
Um, there's a book, a
Yeah.
poetry book.
Yes.
There is also a visual journal that goes along with it. There's
Yes.
a blog, and then you also turned it into a one woman show, which
Yes.
was sold out at the Colored Girls Museum.
Yes.
Um, what is that experience like? How do you know what the medium is for your stories or for your projects? And are there ever any challenges in like translating one to another?
This human experience is challenging itself. And this human experience is is personal for me. So I get to like I think I found the understanding of what the power of vulnerability is and what that means for me and how I identify with that. The softest part of her is everything is a book that was written during 2020 when we had a whole lot of time on our hand. And in that time frame, it was a beauty, it was a power of a, it was a permission that I gave myself that I get to discover the fullness of me and and know that in all intricate details, there's softness. The thing is that sometimes even in our tears that we express is a matter of that we get to um, give ourselves the permission to let the tears fall while we say kind words to them. So it's a matter of me creating that work. And I wanted the work because we weren't able to, perform during the COVID. Why I made it into a stage of productions because I wanted the words to be embodiment. Like just in case you wasn't clear of where, like the poem has a story behind it, and that's the story I want to tell, and I want you to experience it, and that's why I did the one woman show and I selected various pieces from the book. And the themes that the softest part of her is everything speaks to is self-forgiveness, forgiveness, love, pleasure, self-mastery, joy, healing, and all of the things that really matter to me into how I have transitioned and transformed my own self. And this is my way of giving my community and waking up those dry bones on my community to be able to tap into the softest part of them.
I love that. And you mentioned like you started in 2020. I think the live performances was late last year, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken,
Hmm.
2023.
Hmm.
I'm curious, what is it like? Even I know you are using different mediums, but what is it like to kind of take a project and work on it for such a long length of time? Is because I imagine the person that wrote it is not exactly the same person that's performing it now. Do you ever have to like tweak certain things? Is there anything you have to like adjust for?
I think what I do, because I incorporate all of me, I show up in all. So I make sure that I'm clear on where I'm at now. And but I want to make sure that I'm showing the journey to how you got here and know that it's not a it's not the stopping point, it's just an evolution to this moment right now. And my hope is when I'm with my audience and the people that I work with is that they understand that healing and creating and process, there's no end point, it's just an evolution. And you master the wave, you master the ebb and flow, but you keep showing up. um but I'm very intentional to making sure that I'm showing up fully in my whole complete self, and whatever that looks like, because I know that wherever I'm at and those experiences that I'm have, it's somewhere in the room. Yeah.
So it's almost like you're not tweaking it, you're almost like adding to
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what you had already. Like now I'm
Correct.
adding
Correct.
the
Correct.
context of what I've lived since then. So that's amazing.
And just to let me add this one, when I do the art of I am, there's a poem that's called I am. And when I do that poem, it different in different performances, it changes depending on the audience. Um, but I make sure that the I am that I'm speaking about is not just about who and where I am now and who I want people to be. It's like I want you to reach deep down to when you wasn't conscious to your I am. When you wasn't conscious that you was worthy, where you wasn't conscious that you were enough, that I want that I am to like grow deep in you. That's the seed that I'm planting. It's like, and people feel it because they're like, God, yes, I am. Like I'm ready to do the world. I'm like, yes, that's the kind of inspiration. It's like inspire you to act, to move in that thing with that you feel.
Right. I love that. I love that. And I think that kind of transitions perfectly to our final question, which we're asking all the women that we're getting the pleasure of talking to this month,
Yeah.
which is when do you feel the most powerful? And I'm also glad to give you this question, being as you are Nikki Powerhouse. So when
Hey,
does Nikki Powerhouse feel the most powerful?
my vulnerability. I am so aware of the power of it, the softness, the hardness, the anger, the resistance, the expression. My vulnerability has been, has gotten me where I'm at today, and it's my confidence. Um, and one of the things that I often always say is that you can't get through this life without feeling something. Like it's not. That's just how we are made, and we're human, and life is life, and so vulnerability is my source, and I get quiet with my feelings. I get quiet. I listen to them, and I pay attention. And I think that that's how I center myself when life is giving me something that I plan for. I center myself because I think getting clear on what's happening on me and with me gives me all the power that I need whenever I'm making the next move.
I love that. I think people take for granted too that like so many people in this world are scared to be vulnerable or scared of their feelings. And so like
Mhm.
being able to like stand face to face with them and like tussle with them when you have to and show, your vulnerable side, that really speaks to a certain amount of like courage and boldness. And we
That's right.
appreciate it because that allows, when artists like yourself allow yourselves to be vulnerable, you make that space for all the rest of us.
That's
So
right. Yes. Yes.
love that. We are out of time, but it has been an absolute pleasure
Thank
speaking
you.
with you.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
for anybody that's coming through Power Street Theater, I want to make sure to shout out your socials. You can find her on social media at Nikki Powerhouse, and you can also check out all the wonderful work she's doing. You can get any of her books and any engagements that she might have coming up on her website, nikkipowerhouse.com. So make sure to check it out, make sure to follow and stay up to date with everything she's doing. And for anybody that's coming through Nikki, if you want to check out the rest of the stuff that Power Street Theater does, you can follow us at Power Street Theater Co. on Instagram, or you can
Okay.
also check out our website, powerstreettheater.com. It's a brand new website. We're trying to get people to look at it because it looks nice. um,
Excellent.
yeah. But thank you so much to Nikki for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to celebrate you and get to know you a little bit
Thank
better.
you. I
And
appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. And happy Women's History Month to everybody watching.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Women History Month this month and beyond.